Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. Now today's video we're going to be doing the basic needs on leopard gecko care. I'm going to include a little bit on the hatchlings that we've been breeding as well as the adults which are here. This one's actually got a rub in, that's what the new African fat tail gecko is in at the minute. It's only a few months old. I say a few months, it hatched in August, but that 3 foot viv's way too big for it at the minute, so it's going to be staying in the rub for a little while until it gets big enough for a 3 foot viv. That rub there, that's in that viv, is more than big enough for it. But anyways, we're going to be getting straight into leopard gecko care for adults, subadults and hatchlings. Oh yes, before we start, yes, I am wearing sunglasses. It's been sunny outside all day and my eyes are hurting, so the light is hurting my eyes, that's why I'm wearing them. But anyways, let's get straight into the video. Right guys, so in here I have a breeding pair of leopard geckos. I also have a breeding pair in here as well. Basically, for the most part, people prefer keeping leopard geckos on no substrate, just either slate or reptile carpet, something along those lines. Me personally, I do like to use substrate. I use either Leo Life or it's either Leo Life or coconut fibre. There's another one as well, although I can't remember the name of it, but they're the substrates that are the better options to use if you're going to use substrate. And these I don't really have substrate in at the minute because they are breeding pairs. Obviously don't really want the male who's over there, you see his head sticking out the hide, don't want his genitalia getting infected and all that because it pokes out once they've bred and the male has to clean it. But anyways, apart from that, if it's hatchlings, you don't want to use substrate until it's at least 6 months. Even then, I'd still wait a little bit longer. In my opinion, I prefer to leave them up to a year and a half before putting them on any type of substrate. And I'm just going to put a torch on in here because it is dark, the lights are out. Right, so oh, the male just tried mating there. She wasn't accepting. Well, I started the camera with a torch on. The perfect timing. Basically what just happened there is completely fine. Obviously no harm was caused. But anyways, heading into the care of these animals. It's best if they're kept solo. Like I say, these are only together during the breeding season. After breeding season, that will separate them. The males will go into rubs, and so on. That water dish is dirty. I'm going to be cleaning that after this video, definitely. But basically on the warm side, what I've got in here is just a ceramic heat bulb. I have the same in this one too, just a ceramic heat bulb. This one has a little bit more clutter in, mainly because the male in here actually climbs everywhere, so it's mainly just for him to climb, and then also the female literally just always wants to hide. So, but basically your 2 ceramic bulb heaters in your vivs. Obviously you don't need 2. I'll just say 2 because I've got 2 vivs. I've got them both plugged into a thermostat, the same thermostat. Both vivariums are exactly the same in dimensions, so the temperatures are going to be exactly the same, although the probe for the thermostats in this one, I'm getting the same reading off this one because, like I say, it is the same heating equipment plugged into one thermostat in a viv that has the exact same measurements as the other. Also, for leopard geckos, you want to supply a stable diet. What I like to do is feed locusts, crickets, mealworms, and dubia roaches. The dubia roaches are really good because roaches are just filled with protein. I'd also use calcium powder and Nutribol. Calcium, I dust the live foods twice a week with calcium and once a week with the Nutribol. That gives them the correct vitamins and stuff that they need. That's a good supplement for them. And I'd say that's about it. That's literally just the basics of leopard gecko care. I've obviously also got egg boxes in there which can also be used, and I prefer to use them even when not breeding because it's basically a moist hide. It will help with the gecko shed as well as everything else. So if it needs like a higher humidity, if it wants higher humidity, it can go inside the egg box or moist hide, whichever you're using it as rather. That's basically the basics on the care. In terms of handling, if I just get this one, this one's the male, he's probably the calmest. You want to go in from underneath them. If you go in above, there's a chance they'll think it's a predator trying to grab them and they'll get scared. You also do not want to grab them from behind because leopard geckos, and like most lizards in general actually, oh, he's away, they actually drop the tails as a defense mechanism, especially the males, because what they do, obviously, they put the tail in the air and shake it around to try and attract a female, which in the wild, birds of prey and other predators will grab the tail thinking it's food, so they have the ability and defense mechanism to detach their tails. So it is a big no-no to grab your gecko from behind, otherwise it will drop its tail. It's the same, you need to be careful when you're moving objects in case you place something on top of its tail, that'll also cause it to drop its tail. And like I said, just don't go in from above, otherwise it will actually think a predator's trying to grab it. But yeah, apart from that, we'll just quickly move on to the hatchlings. And guys, so in terms of the hatchlings, I've just got a few here. Basically, I've just got one heat cable. It's not plugged into a thermostat. That's only because it is just touching the edge, which provides a decent temperature gradient for the hatchlings. There's some of them. These are off my high yellow het albino pair. There's more in here if I can. I don't know if you can see, but that's the most recent clutch that hatched. In here we've got the other one. There is actually an albino that hatched in this clutch. As you can see, if this torch isn't going to be blocking it, there. as you can see, we've got an albino in this clutch, which is very nice indeed. Now, if it's hatchlings you've got, like let's say you've got your first ever leopard gecko and it's a hatchling or a juvenile. Now you either want to keep it on kitchen roll, paper towel, or reptile carpet. Like I said previously, for the reason you don't want to give them substrate until a certain age. The reason for that is because younger ones are very prone to missing the food, grabbing a lot of substrate when grabbing the food as well. So that makes them at high risk of getting impaction if you put them on substrate at a young age. You also want to, obviously in these I'm using paper towels and I'm misting the tubs. Once they get bigger and need a rub, like a 9 litre rub, I will be putting 2 hides in. One will be the normal hide and one will be a moist hide. That way I don't have to mist the tubs. But it is important for hatchlings to actually need the moisture. Basically helps them shed the skin, which is absolutely crucial for hatchlings because hatchlings will have problems. It's quite often hatchlings that have problems shedding. Geckos in general have problems shedding when they're trying to get the shed off the toes. It often gets stuck to the toes and then eventually the gecko ends up with no toes on wherever the shed's been getting stuck over the years. And also another tip, I'm just going to go back to the adult leopard geckos so it's easier. So as I was saying guys, this is the female here. She's actually carrying eggs. Basically in terms of feeding them, obviously the worms, it doesn't really matter as they're just whatever size you can get them really. You can either get the giant mealworms, which is what they are, or you can get the normal sized mealworms or mini mealworms. Just regular mealworms or giant mealworms, perfectly fine. But things like crickets, locusts and cockroaches, to tell which size is what your gecko needs to be eaten, see the space in between each eye, the feeder insect on which your gecko should be eaten, it should not be wider than the gap in between the eyes. If it's wider, it can cause some issues in terms of like swallowing and causing a little bit of damage. So on the occasion, that's just another thing to note when keeping leopard geckos as well. Like I said, for temperature, on the warm side, for these, anywhere from 86 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit on the warm side, and then from 75 to 80 degrees on the cool side. What I like to do is have it on 88 degrees Fahrenheit on the warm side in the spring, and then in the summer have it is 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and then as it approaches winter I like to cool it all down and have it around about an 84, 85, sometimes 83 or even 80 on the warm side. Basically it just gives them a more natural environment, having all these heat changes. You don't have to do that, it's not necessary to do that, that's just what I like to do. Right guys, so I hope you enjoyed. That's basically my knowledge on leopard gecko care. Obviously there is other information out there, but like I say, these videos are quite lengthy. I like to keep them short. What I will do, if you want to know a lot more than what I've explained, I'll put a care sheet for leopard geckos and leopard gecko hatchlings down in the description below. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new around here and you want more videos on species specific care involving reptiles, tarantulas, sometimes even aquatics. As you can see, I've got my 2 Oscars and some convict cichlids in there. Then, as well as the millipedes, I've got a giant African millipede there and isopods. If you want to see more videos involving all of that stuff, then subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified for future uploads. And I'll see you guys in the next one.